And joining us now from her home is a member of the Navajo Nation and a representative in the Arizona State Legislature, Senator Jamesita Pechlekah. Thank you so much for being here. There have been more than 2,300 COVID cases, more than 73 confirmed deaths in the Navajo Nation. How do you describe what's happening on the reservations?
As a member of the Navajo Nation, we're used to the lack of infrastructure. We're used to the lack of it is taking us to a whole new level of extremes. The infrastructure problem is making the suffering so much worse for our families.
To your point, the infrastructure problems, 30% have no running water, 10% live without electricity, including some people in your own family. I had the great honor of saying hello to your mother and your grandmother. And you've been able to have in your life, and just to the side of you, the struggles of your elder, and these things have not gotten better. I would imagine your frustration level is so high, and then you combine this COVID crisis.
That's correct. You know, I was in the United States military and I served in the Persian Gulf War in 1990, 1991. And it is easier to be in the middle of a war on the other side of the world than to be a Native American living in these United States. Uh, I feel like our government has failed us. The Navajo Nation signed a treaty 150 years ago, and it has not been honored by the federal government, and I believe by the state as well.
And that's the thing. Here you are a senator, but you're also a member of the Navajo Nation. You talk about the federal government response. You're one of those unique people who you have a foot in both of these worlds, and you have the opportunity in some ways to, I guess, bridge this gap that seems insurmountable, I would imagine, in some days.
Absolutely. I live about a mile from my mother. My mother has running water and electricity. I myself, in my home, less than about a mile from hers, we have no running water and we have no electricity. And that is the case for so many families. There's a housing crisis on the Navajo Nation, and many families, families live in one household. And so if you can imagine, if one person gets sick and they don't show any symptoms, they could very well infect the entire family.
Senator, let me clarify what you said to me. You don't have running water in your own home?
Yes, I have no running water at my home.
You're a senator and you don't have running water. You don't have electricity in your home. Tell us about this part of the crisis and how the water shortage, the water crisis devastated your family.
Well, in my community of Cameron, which is very typical of a lot of other communities, we have uh, 40% of the houses, homes, don't have running water, maybe even more. And we don't have no fire stations. Don't, the nearest volunteer fire station is about 30 miles away. About 3 years ago, my niece, whose home was warmed by a wood stove and used kerosene lanterns for light at night. Their home caught fire, and my niece and her husband passed away. The only person that they could get out of the home was their child, their 1-year-old daughter, and she is now being cared for by her grandma and grandpa, and they live just a quarter of a mile away from my home, and they don't have electricity or running water.
Jamesita, one of the other issues that we're now discussing as a result of the pandemic, there are border towns that have seen their infection rates increase. There's a town, Gallup, near New Mexico, which now has the third highest rate of infections of any metropolitan area. And this has become a source of tension with the reservations. What's happening?
Well, the border towns are the only places that our people can get supplies, food, um, purchase their vehicles, and all these things. So we provide a lot of revenue to those border towns. And at this time, because our relatives, our homeless relatives, are out there unsheltered, they're seen as possible people that could spread the COVID-19 to the rest of the community. And so they were being shunned And there's been a lot of stress between the indigenous people on the reservations and in those towns that reside there.
Well, Senator, we appreciate you speaking up and speaking out, sharing your journey and the journey of all that are with you right now. And our thoughts are with you because this struggle is so real and it's hitting the Navajo Nation so hard. Thank you.